Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Ball with C and E. E right here, C right there. We're talking about the divisional round in today's episode. We skipped the wild card, mainly because we filmed the semis for college football, and then I guess we kind of took a week off. We didn't really even think about it, but we're back. But the divisional round is upon us, and there are some great matchups today. Today we'll be talking about what you see on screen right here: the Chiefs, the Texans, Eagles, Rams, Lions, Commanders, and then the Bills and the Ravens. This is going to shape out to be an amazing weekend of football. One of the last weekends of true football. Cameron, are you excited for the games this weekend?
Big time. I think the only one I'm not really extremely excited to watch is the one that's up here. Chiefs, Texans. I mean, the rest of them I think are going to be pretty good games, to be honest with you.
That's fair. Yeah, so we'll start with the Chiefs versus the Texans right here. This game is not very exciting for me. And like you said, I don't think it's very exciting for you either. These are two teams that I feel like are definitely they're in two different leagues in my opinion. When it comes to the talent and the playoff experience, especially. You got Kansas City, who is won 3 of the past 4 or like 4 of the past 5 AFC championships. And then you got the Texans who, they won a playoff game last year. They win a playoff game this year, but they went up against the Chargers this year. And Justin Herbert probably had the worst game of his career, honestly, 4 INTs. Yeah. So I really don't see this being competitive, but we'll still talk about it. And the reason why I don't think this will be that competitive is because of Patrick Mahomes. I feel like no matter how bad Patrick Mahomes I should put that in quotes, Patrick Mahomes' season has been 3,900 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks. Bad.
Bad
but
for his standard,
this is the best quarterback left in the playoff. And we'll talk about quarterbacks later because that's been a big topic across social media right now. But Mahomes, until something happens, he's the best quarterback. He will always be the best quarterback left in the playoffs. This guy's amazing in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, yeah, he's a different quarterback than he is in the regular season. And like you mentioned, the bad season that he's had includes some great stats for a quarterback. Is just not up to his standard and what he's looked like the last couple of years. And yeah, like you said, I mean, my thoughts are pretty much the same as yours with this one. The Texans are not a bad team. They just, they, like you said, played against the Chargers. Jay Herbo had a bad game, and they're playing against probably, I would say, second best or the best team in the playoffs. And I really don't see Texans having any real chance in this one.
Yeah, even when you the thing is when I was looking this up, I was looking at the stats, and I was looking throughout. I was like, no, there's no standouts on the defense really for the Chiefs. There's no real standouts on the offense because even when you look at a guy obviously you look at a guy like Travis Kelce, he's not having like a crazy year, and he's our leading receiver. So when you look at the stats, you're like, how is this team 15-2? But I guess what happened is, because then I looked at the rest, and especially on defense, for all the remaining teams on defense, there's no real standouts that fill up the box the box score.
Yeah,
it's really crazy. So obviously
stat, yeah.
Obviously, it means the more spread out your defense is. Obviously, that means the better it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously a given. But then you go back to the offense, and there's no real standouts on offense. And I mean, I don't know. There's just not a lot there. There's not a lot that says Kansas City is the best team, but record wise and history wise,
yeah.
I just don't see a way that the Texans can.
I know this is the hypotheticals and all that, and everyone hates to hear hypotheticals, but I saw it was this weird post, and it was about the records of each division if one-score games were flipped. So you win a one-score game, it flips to a loss, and it was crazy to see because the Chiefs went from 15-2 to 4-13. So
that is pretty wild.
It was kind of crazy,
that is pretty wild.
The amount of one-score games that they've had this season, and I mean, whatever. It's a hypothetical, but it's interesting to see. And then I'm pretty sure most of them have been pretty low scoring too. I mean, I think their defense has kind of just kept them in the game, and the offense is just scoring just enough points to win the games. And I mean, we've all seen the endings to the Chiefs games this year. Just it's black magic is what everyone's calling it. To be honest with you, but I don't see that
You're right
fizzling
about
out in
that.
the playoffs. I don't see it fizzling out in the playoffs at all.
But that's the thing. Like, people obviously make the jokes about black magic this, black magic that, and then how the Chiefs have not scored 30 points this year. I think that's a true telling to how good this defense is and how good Steve Spagnuolo is. Like, they're one of the best defenses in the league. They're holding teams to very low amount of points. Obviously, if you don't score 30 points, if you don't have to score 30 points to win 15 games, obviously your defense is doing something right. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, also, what we didn't even like begin to mention was like how average CJ Stroud has been this year. Like, he's not bad, but he's not as good as he was. Or maybe he was like as good as last year, but he just like kind of bolted onto the scene last year, so we didn't really realize it. But I think what really has made him kind of fall back into that like sophomore slump year is interceptions. His interceptions up to 12 this year, which is a lot. And he also doesn't have that many passing touchdowns too, at only 20. So like, if you compare that to like Patrick Mahomes, who people have said Patrick Mahomes is not having a great year, CJ Stroud has one more INT, 6 less touchdowns, and like 200 less passing yards. So it's just like, I don't know if I trust Stroud in this game to really go out and make a play or something to win the game. But I also don't think that the Texans defense will necessarily keep them in the game for that long, because of, I think, how much veteranship is on this Chiefs team, how much they've been through in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just we could go on and on, but it's just as simple as that. We don't think the Texans are going to do anything really in this game, and I think the Chiefs are just going to walk their way into the divisional, almost like how the Eagles did a couple years ago against the Giants when they won, like, I don't even know what it was like 38-10 or something like that. I don't know if it's going to be that big of a margin, but I think it'll be close to that. So like, if I had to mention something, if I had to bring up a score prediction, I would probably say like the Chiefs get it done like 28 to like the Texans like 10 or 13. I think it'll be like
go very similar to that. I was gonna say 23 to 13.
Like a low scoring, like 2 to 3 possession win for the Chiefs. Yeah. Chiefs get to the AFC Championship again, but like
23 to 13. That's my score prediction.
Yeah, but if I had to give you a path for the Texans to win, it means their run game got going with Joe Mixon, who has also been very, very, very good this year, over 1,300 yards from scrimmage. So that run game gets going, and then Patrick Mahomes doesn't do well. It's as simple as that.
But I mean, he's questionable on the IR right now.
Oh, dude, it's playoff football. Even if they're questionable, they're not hurt. It's playoff football. A.J. Brown was questionable all week. He's playing. They already said he was playing.
Okay.
All right.
Any more thoughts?
I mean, you heard. There's only one real thought to think of when we talk about this game, and you kind of already heard it.
Okay. All right. So then move on to Eagles-Rams.
You see it. Now, interesting game. These teams have played each other earlier this year. Saquon Barkley ran for 255 yards the last time these teams played. He had over 300 yards from scrimmage. So this game's interesting. And it's not even because of that. It's because there is projected 4 to 6 inches of snow this weekend. I've heard it'll start right around kickoff, and it's going to go throughout the whole game. It's going to go for like 2 to 3 hours. And there's just going to be a huge layer of snow. There's going to be huge wind gusts. It's going to be freezing. It's going to be some of the lowest temperatures in Philadelphia that it's been in a long time. I think the wind chill's up to is going to be like 14 degrees. It's going to be painfully cold, especially for the Rams. But yeah, this this will be interesting. If the wind gusts are really that strong, there's not going to be a lot of passing. And I don't know if you know the Rams. I mean, this is one of the most pass-heavy offenses in the league. I mean, Stafford, yardage-wise, it doesn't look like it. But Stafford he threw for 3,700 yards, 20 TDs, 8 picks. But you have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. You have one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. So yeah, that'll be an interesting factor in this game is what the pass offense will look like for either team, not just the Rams, but also the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw what happened last time when it came down to the run game and it did Saquon, like you said, 300 scrimmage yards, 250 plus rushing yards. I mean, he just dominated the Rams' defensive line, and I don't know if that changes, especially with the snow. I think, the Eagles are kind of already reliant on the rushing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, they're already.
We're looking at the leading rusher this year in the NFL.
Oh yeah, no, they're already reliant on the rushing, so I think they're going to go to that a little bit more because of the snow. I don't think it's going to change.
See, that's the thing, right? Like the Eagles rely on the run game when it isn't bad conditions. Like they know what they're dominant in. They know they have the best offensive line in football. They know they have the best running back in football. They know how to win football games. And it's ridiculous that the media still tries to portray like this team can't pass or this team's offense is so one-dimensional. It's not one-dimensional. They just know what works. And when you have a 2,000-yard rusher, you're going to most likely give him the ball a lot. I mean, it's you're talking about the leading rusher. You're talking about a running back who's going to probably top 5 in MVP voting. So why wouldn't you use him? That's the thing that blows my mind to me. But then we talk about the defensive side. And I will say, I think as of all the defenses, I believe that the Rams are the worst defense left in the playoffs. Now that's not saying anything bad by any means, because most of the defenses left in the playoff, actually all the defenses left in the playoff are pretty solid defenses. But I think the Rams probably have, I'd say the worst. But they do have a very good defensive line, which could show up here in the snow game, leading by the potential defensive rookie of the year being Jared Verse. He's been going crazy this year. He's 11 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. I don't know about you, where you think of like defenses, but I mean, I know there was a couple times this year with like the Rams, like they gave up 37 to the Eagles when they played them. They gave up over 40 to the Bills. Like I feel like this defense is either good or they're like really bad. Like they're never.
It's hit or miss, honestly. I think it depends on type of offense they end up playing, and I mean, Eagles being really really strong offense, and then who else? You said who else they gave up a lot of points to?
Oh, the Bills. Remember? I mean, they won that game, but like they still gave up 40.
Yeah, I mean, two very very powerhouse offenses right there, and. I think they're just hit or miss, especially against a really good offense. They kind of just crumble a little bit. At the end of the day, I think this ends up being a little bit closer game than what you might potentially think. I think
it's just going to be close based off. There's not going to be that much scoring, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring.
There's going to be a very high scoring game. I think it's going to be pretty close. Like it's going to be a one score kind of game. I think it's just gonna be low. A lot of stops are gonna happen, especially with the weather. But it could go either way. I mean, the Rams could just get no offense going at all, and the Eagles could run the ball, and just Saquon could have another game like he did last time he played him. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of up in the air, especially with the weather.
Yeah, 100%. And especially you have the Eagles defense, who is literally, like statistically, the number one defense in the league, and probably the best secondary in the league right now. I don't see a way really that the Rams will score unless they somehow get a run game going. But the last time the Eagles played the Rams, the Eagles just dominated the line of scrimmage, and it kind of just stuffed the game away like pretty early in the second half. There was just no real chance of the Rams coming back in that game. And like I said, that was in perfect weather conditions, being in SoFi. And then you also add in the fact that all the tragedies that have happened in LA, they had to move to Arizona for that game. So then after that game, after they won that, they moved back to Los Angeles. They only practiced for about 1 or 2 days in LA, I'm pretty sure. And then that got moved, or in that, not that it got moved. I meant then the Rams had to fly all the way across the coast. I meant all the way across the country to go play the Eagles. Yeah. So a lot is just like not going the Rams' way right now. I think point. This is just gonna really end up, and also, not to mention, Matthew Stafford in snow games, I believe he's 1-5.
Ooh. He doesn't like the cold. He doesn't like the
Which
cold.
Is interesting because, I mean, I guess being in Detroit, he never played outside when he was in Detroit. He was never, they have that indoor stadium.
Yep.
But, yeah, it was a very interesting stat to me when I saw that Stafford's record was that bad in snow games.
That's kind of surprising to me, too. I didn't even know.
I don't even know if it was snow games or snow/rain games too, but it was one of the two. I know for a fact it was obviously snow because there's a lot of snow coming this weekend. But yeah, the way I look at this game is I think the Rams won't score and the Eagles will just score enough to where they kind of just like drain the clock with their run. They enforce their offensive line and defensive lines, and they slowly bury the Rams throughout the game. I think if I had to make a prediction on this game, I'm gonna go Eagles 17, Rams 3 or 6.
Dang, you have the Rams not even scoring a touchdown.
I don't think so.
Not even one? Okay. All right. This is fair enough. I was just gonna go with like 17-10.
See, I could see that too, though. Like, I could 100% see like this game being like 17-3 with like 2 to 3 minutes left in the game, and then the Rams just score like a late touchdown that makes the game look better than it really was. Unless you actually think like it'll come down to the wire like that.
No, I don't think it's gonna come down to the wire. I kind of just think, we might see close-ish game, and then I don't think it's going to be a late touchdown for the Eagles to win. I think it's just going to be keeping them at an arm's distance, like probably opening up 14-3, something like that. Who knows? Honestly, a one-score game either way. I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm not going to fully disagree there, but I think the score will look closer because of the weather conditions. Mm-hmm. Than what these two teams actually are on paper, and like what the coaching staff, like everything about it. Because we already saw them play earlier this year in like perfect weather conditions, so we kind of already know that what happened with that. But yeah, like it's going to be a weird game. I could see the Rams keeping it very close. I think based off the weather conditions, nobody could get anything going type of thing, but. I don't know. I still see the Eagles just using their strengths to just pretty much dominate this game.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I agree with you on all aspects of that.
All right, the next game we are going to talk about is the Lions versus the Commanders. Now, this is actually the biggest spread by Vegas at 9.5. I don't see that. And I'm going to tell you why. Time and time again, the Washington Commanders have fully proven people wrong, as they did this past weekend, going into Tampa and beating the Bucs. Sorry, but like I thought the Bucs were going to pull that game out, and there goes the Commanders again, proving people wrong. I think this game, especially with all the injuries. Now, Detroit has kind of proven that wrong, that like the injuries really haven't hurt them that badly, obviously because they're still 15-2.
Oh yeah.
But I I think that this game might come down to some injuries that will end up ultimately hurting the Lions, and the Commanders will end up taking advantage of that. And I think this game could be a very close, high-scoring game, as what the total says, too. It's the highest total of the weekend at 55.5, which is pretty high for an NFL game. So I don't know what your thoughts are about this game, but I think this could be close.
I think this is going to be a lot closer than what Vegas is saying. I think JD5 is kind of a force to be reckoned with. I think he's kind of flown not entirely under the radar. I think he's definitely a very, 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 very good rookie. And I think he's definitely proving a lot of people wrong. I mean, brought the Commanders their first playoff win in how many years? 19?
Oh, it's like 19 or 20. Yeah, it's been a long time.
19, 20 years. Brought Washington their first playoff win. I mean, and he honestly did it with ease against the Bucs. I mean, I
wouldn't say ease.
I think that game. I think
the Commanders' offense looked really well. Yeah, the offense was moving with ease.
The offense was moving with ease. I mean, I don't know about the defense, but yeah, mainly just talking about JD5 and especially like Terry McLaurin. I mean, man, he just needed a quarterback. I mean, look at how he's played this year.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Terry McLaurin, we're looking at about 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns here. I will say this though, his stats, if you really look over the past 5 years, I'm pretty sure he's on like 1,000-yard season streak. They're really not that different. I think his touchdowns are higher, but his yardage really is about the same. I don't know if that was just a bunch of garbage time throughout the past couple years when the Commanders weren't that good. But honestly, Terry McLaurin's yardage really hasn't changed that much since he's gotten Jaden Daniels at quarterback.
I think it's more of his like big play potential.
That I will agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you on that because he doesn't have that many receptions. I think he's like what? Like
I was gonna say, I don't know. I don't know how many receptions he's had in previous years.
Does it say it right there?
He's got 82 for just under 1,100. So
yeah, and then especially if you look over at Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's right next to him, he has over 100 catches, and he only exactly, and he only has what? Like, and his is only
150 more.
Yeah, 150 more receiving yards. So Terry McLaurin has definitely improved. With his big playability, I would say, since getting Jaden Daniels. I think the offense entirely has. And what's interesting about their offense is I didn't even realize, but it makes sense. Jaden Daniels is their leading rusher.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. You usually don't. If you have a quarterback leading your team in rushing, most of the time they're not very good.
I mean, that's what's surprising is, I mean, I watched, of course, the Bucs game. They didn't have a lot of plays where they just kind of handed it off. And, I mean, there was more times where Eckler was lined up in the backfield and went on like a short route or something. There wasn't a lot of handoff plays compared to it was a pass design, and then if Jaden Daniels didn't see anything, he just run it. That was the majority of their offensive play style, and it makes sense why he has 900 rushing yards and 150 carries as a quarterback. I mean, he's just their offense is just designed to get him some cover, let him scope out, and then run it if he sees nothing. And that's what he's done all season, and it tore apart the Bucs defense. And do I think it's going to tear apart Detroit? No, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what Vegas is predicting.
Now, while I do say that that this game will be close, I don't think they're going to win. And it's that well-oiled machine offense in Detroit with Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, who's coming back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all the tight ends that they have there being Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, and a couple. There may even be one more that I'm kind of blanking on right now. But and then their amazing offensive line that's led by Penei Sewell. Yeah, I like I said, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Like we're going to see this kind of like how that Bills versus Lions game was, but I think it's going to be the kind of like the opposite, where the Lions take control early and the Commanders are playing catch up, but they'll keep it close, kind of like what the Lions did against the Bills. They kind of brought it back, and then it was kind of like 20 seconds left, and there was that onside kick that almost went the Lions' way in the end. But yeah, when you have a quarterback that throws for 4,600 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, 12 INTs, also have to add that 5 of those INTs were in one game, which is even crazier to think about. And then you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,900 total yards from scrimmage and 20 total touchdowns, and he was splitting carries most of the season.
Yeah, he's been splitting carries. And,
it's like ridiculous.
Their offense to me is just, I think, unstoppable. They look good, and I don't have a path for the Commanders to win. I do have a path for it to be closer than a 9.5 spread. Honestly,
yeah, like I 100% agree with you on that. Like when I really look at this game, I think what's going to end up happening is this could be a back and forth game for a while, and then there's a guy like Kirby Joseph on the Lions defense who has nine interceptions this year, who makes that INT and then makes it, and then the Lions go down, score, make it a 2-score game, and then it's just catch up for the rest of the game where it's kind of they go back and forth, but it'll be 2 scores for the Lions, or the Lions will be ahead 2 scores, and then the Commanders will, like I said, they'll be behind by 2 scores, whether it's 14 or 10, and then the Commanders may get a later touchdown that makes it look a little closer. So if I had to make a prediction on this game, like I said, like how we've been saying the whole time we've been talking about this, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a closer game than what Vegas might say. Actually, you know what? Maybe the score itself may be around what Vegas is saying, but I think throughout the game it's going to be closer than what Vegas is saying, or what the media is saying.
I think there's a lot of back and forth, like one team.
That's what I'm saying. But like in the end, the score could look like a 9 to 10 point win for the Lions, but it'll be a closer game than what the score really said. So if I had to make a strong prediction on this game, I genuinely think that this game will end up being a 41 to about 31 game for the Lions. I think they win. I think they win like that high of scoring, I believe.
I don't know if it's going to be that high. I'm shooting more or less towards 35 to 28, 24, something like that. Of course, Lions, Detroit taking it. But I don't know if there was that far.
But I mean, I've seen a lot. There's been a couple Lions games. There's been a lot of Lions games this year where they've scored that many points.
Yeah, but it's the playoffs. I think it's gonna be
I got you. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Lions could score that much, and I think the Commanders could keep up with it until the end. You know what I'm saying? Like the Lions at the end of the day will stretch it out just enough where it's not like the Commanders really can't come back. But like we said, it'll be a close game throughout most of the game.
Yeah.
And this is a Lions team that I think pretty much everyone, maybe outside of like Eagles fans, that I think I'm not even going to be biased. I still think the Lions will make the Super Bowl. But we'll talk more about that when we get closer, like after this weekend and stuff.
Oh yeah. Once we get into the next round.
Yeah, but
championship round.
So that's probably that's probably one of the more intriguing games this week was the Lions and Commanders, just
because of what Vegas thinks it's going to be. It's just a little bit more, interesting to talk about.
Yes, because I think obviously we think this could very well be a closer game than what Vegas thinks.
Oh yeah. For sure.
However, there's the best game of the weekend is what we're going to talk about right now. Is the Bills versus the Ravens. This game is going to be an absolute toss-up, in my opinion. We're looking at two of the most high-powered offenses in the league. Not only high-powered offenses. See, the thing is with Detroit, obviously Detroit has a lot of superstar power with Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and David Montgomery. However, this is more. There's Josh Allen for the Bills, and that's pretty much it. He just makes the game go.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He makes the game go, and he operates the offense. For the Lions, anybody can. There's a lot of people on the offense that can do it. Yeah. And it's the same with the Ravens. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson, and they have Derrick Henry. If those three guys are playing well, this is going to be an absolutely insane game. We're looking at the top two MVP candidates here, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And you're also looking at probably the runner-up because of Saquon, but the runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year being Derrick Henry. This again, I could see this being I could see this being a high-scoring game as well. I think this could be an absolute thriller, one for the ages.
I think divisional. This is going to be a great game. No, I think this is an amazing, absolutely amazing game. I don't know what that entails. I don't know if that entails a super high-scoring, down-to-the-wire, game-winning field goal type game, or if it's just, it's just both teams get stops, or I don't even know what this could entail. Like you said, both kind of high-powered offenses. I think that this just turns into kind of a slugfest, to be honest with you. Personally, I don't want to go directly into score predictions. Personally, I think the Ravens pull it off. I don't know about you. I think Lamar continues his historical season, and get the man a ring. Jesus,
it's very well possible.
At this point, get the man a ring.
It's very well possible. There's a season to do it. It's this season.
Yeah, of course. You'd be on trail for another MVP season, and if he can get a ring in that time, he deserves it. To be honest with you, if they're obviously being a Bucs fan, you want to cheer for an NFC team, but at the end of the day, I think if I'm gonna slightly root for any team, it's gonna be the Ravens. Be completely honest with you, just because of Lamar Jackson's season. And
okay, fake Georgia fan.
Fake Georgia fan.
Excuse me.
I know, the Philly Bulldogs. It's just listen, on the side of the NFC. I mean, at this point, man, there's so many teams. It's like Washington's on a playoff run, first time they've been on a playoff run in forever. The Lions never can do anything in the playoffs. I wouldn't hate seeing them win. The Eagles have so many players from my college team. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson deserves it. I mean, the rest of the Bills.
I think if you honestly just look at straight quarterbacks in this, we'll talk about the actual rankings of quarterbacks later. Yeah. But when you look at the remaining quarterbacks, this is just I mean, I'm sorry to be kind of corny. This is cinema. With the remaining quarterbacks, every quarterback left is at least. If, say we were doing a tier list, this is at least a B tier, B plus tier, or higher quarterback. And every single team, that's normally what you expect to see in the division or in the divisional round of the playoffs, but it doesn't always happen. Especially it's you go back a couple years when the Titans were the number 1 seed and Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We're looking at 8 really solid quarterbacks, and every team is exciting here. That's another thing, that every single team has exciting players, exciting talent, great coaches. This is just going to end up being a great divisional round. I honestly was just joking around with you. I don't really care who you decide to root for. You're kind of in a gray area right now. Now that
I'm in 100% a gray area.
Yeah. All right, but anyways, back to the Bills versus the Ravens.
Fire Todd Bowles.
Sorry, I had to sneak that in there.
I mean, that's fair. Back to this game. Like I said, I think this this is going to be a high scoring game. However, if there was an opportunity for this to be like like you said, like a slugfest, like grind it out kind of game between these two teams. I think both of these defenses are also, I think they're hitting their stride at the perfect time, especially the Ravens, because a lot of times I've seen on social media this year that the Ravens defense really hasn't helped them a lot this year. And I guess when you go back to like the Cincinnati game, I don't remember what week that was, but like Lamar had to do everything to try to win, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then slowly but surely throughout the season, as we got down to around like week 14, week 15, the Ravens started to catch their stride on defense, and it all starts with Kyle Van Noy, and Roquan Smith. I truly believe that these are the two best players on their defense, especially this year. I guess maybe if you weren't going to say Kyle Van Noy, you could say Kyle Hamilton, you could say Marlon Humphrey. But when you just look at the stats, man, you're 12.5 sacks and 14 tackles for loss, for a guy who's been in the league now for, I don't even know, it's been at least 10 years being Kyle Van Noy. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected him to be this good. I mean, we could just be casuals and not know anything, but like, I doubt you really thought like, oh, Kyle Van Noy is going to be the leader in sacks on the Ravens this year.
Yeah.
No. Like, and that's the thing. But obviously we know that Roquan Smith is one of the best linebackers in the league. Like, especially last year, you look at you go back to last year when they traded for him, they got him from Chicago. I mean, their defense just instantly became so much better after that because they got a new leader on the defense, and it just automatically helped them out so much. Roquan Smith is a beast. Kyle Van Noy is a beast. A lot of guys on the Ravens defenses are amazing. And then, like I said earlier, another team, the Bills, who also, their defense is hitting their stride at the right time too. You go back to this wild card game, you look at the beginning of the game and you're like, ugh, 40-yard touchdown for the Broncos. This is going to be a back and forth game that shouldn't be a back and forth game for the Bills. But then the Bills offense got going, and then the defense settled in, and then next thing you know, I don't remember what the final score was necessarily, but it ended up being like a 30-40, like a 30 point. What was it?
31-7.
Exactly, 31-7, and it started with the Bills defense that ended up, they locked in. And again, it starts with your linebackers being Dorian Williams, who I'm not gonna lie to you, didn't know who this guy was until I was looking up these games. We're looking at 117 total tackles. He's a leading tackler on the team, 5 tackles for loss and 3 fumble recoveries too. So this guy's just all over the place. It seems like.
Over it, yeah.
And then if you're gonna talk about Buffalo, you got to talk about the secondary, because you have Taron Johnson, you have Damar Hamlin, who, I mean, just absolutely playing lights out this year. I think especially as of late too. I think he's honestly been playing like a top 20, top 15 safety in the league, and I don't think that's necessarily insane to say, in my opinion. Like, I feel like he's really good at attacking the ball when it's like up in the air, and he doesn't let much, and the Bills don't really let much behind them. They're very good at keeping teams in front of them, I feel like. Yeah, so like I said, this could either be a shootout or it could be an absolute grinded out winner at the end of the game has like 20 points.
Okay. What's your
but if I had to make a prediction on this game, I think these are two quarterbacks that the media portrays as guys who can't get it done in the playoffs. They're not better than Mahomes, this and that. So it's unfortunate that these two teams they have to match up against each other, because no matter who loses, they're going to be portrayed. No matter what quarterback loses, they're going to be portrayed as, they're not going to get it done. When in reality, no matter what happens in this game, both quarterbacks are absolute studs, and one of the two of them is going to win MVP this year. But if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to go 35-31. I think the Bills end up getting this done. I think they get a stop when they absolutely need it, and gets them forward, and I think being at home in Buffalo is also going to help them out a lot.
Yeah, I think the home field is going to help them a lot, and I know that I said Ravens are going to come away with this one. I still think so. I think it's going to be tough for them to do. I just want to manifest it. I think we're going to go 31-28 game-winning field goals from the Ravens.
Justin Tucker gets the comeback. After the bad season, he comes back, comes through, sends them to the AFC Championship.
I don't think it's necessarily a 60-yard field goal, but I think they march down the field late and finish it off with a field goal.
Dude, if it comes down to a game-winning field goal for Justin Tucker, that is an absolute amazing end to his season for how horrendous. Actually, it wouldn't be the end, but it'd be a great comeback story for him, especially. Yeah, so as you can tell, we're very 50-50 on this game. We can both see this going either way. I mean, it's not even a debate. Like, either team could win this, and I think this game could potentially be the winner of the AFC, in my opinion. But we'll hold off on that right now. We'll talk about that after the divisional round. I'm sure we're gonna make some championship. We're gonna make a AFC NFC championship game.
Oh yeah.
Episode of some sort. But yeah, if we're gonna move on now, we're gonna move on to our one of possibly two segments. It depends on where we are time wise. We're gonna rank. Well, I'm gonna give my rankings of the remaining quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, and we'll just talk about it. Right. You don't really need to have your screen. You don't really need to have the screen up anymore. Right. I don't think.
I'll pop it down, but
yeah.
Go ahead, and I think the way that we should structure this is, I think you slowly go over your rankings.
Yes.
We'll start at the top. And we're gonna go down.
There's one spot in these rankings that I think you're gonna stop me at. So we'll do that. Like, once you hear something like, oh, we'll talk about this,
I think
just
you're going to be very
we'll...
surprised. I mean, I think I have an idea as to what I think your first ranking is going to be, and I think I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
But, I mean, fire away. We'll talk.
All right. So, to start off at number 1, I think the best quarterback remaining in this playoffs, and this has nothing to do with his season this year, that has everything to do with him being dominant in the playoffs in the past, and I think Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the playoffs. I don't care how bad of a season he's had this year. I really still think that he can't not be the best until proven otherwise.
I think it's fair. I don't agree with you, though. And it has, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the stats aren't the same as some of these other guys. I think, yes, he's great in the playoffs. He's great every other year except for this year, apparently. I mean, it wasn't a bad season. I just don't think you can look at the season that Lamar has had and not say that he is the best quarterback left in the playoffs. I don't think you can look at the season that he has had and push it away. I don't.
I'm not going to fully disagree with you on that. And I think my rankings would also, like, Lamar is my second spot. I think it's
interchangeable. I think it's interchangeable. Because, I mean, on my standard, my list would be Lamar and then Mahomes. I mean,
exactly.
It's interchangeable.
So, yeah, but I think, like I said, like, if we truly had to come down to it, Mahomes is the best in the playoffs until proven otherwise. I mean, you can't win back-to-back Super Bowls. You can't win 4 out of the last 5 AFC championships and not be called the best.
Yeah,
and not to mention,
like I said, I don't think you're entirely wrong. It's your view,
and also not to mention the one year he lost, the one year that they didn't win the AFC, they were in the AFC Championship.
Yeah,
it took a crazy year for the Bengals to knock off the Chiefs for him to not win 5 AFC championships in a row.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so then we'll move on to number 2. Like I said, is Lamar Jackson. I think you agree with that. And then number 3, I don't think this is going to be a surprise for you, is Josh Allen.
Not a surprise at all. I would agree with
Again,
that.
I have him at 3 because I feel like in the past, I mean, honestly, Lamar as well. But like I said, Mahomes has proven that he can consistently beat these guys in the playoffs. So that's why I have them under. And then I have Josh Allen just because this year he's not having quite as crazy of a year as Lamar Jackson is having. But they're both having outstanding MVP level seasons. I think Lamar is just having that much crazier of a season.
Yeah.
And then number 4. This is
Hold on.
where
I'm like trying to. I gotta think about who we have left.
Okay, but so based off of this, we still have the Texans left. We still have the Rams
Stroud,
left.
Hurts, Stafford,
Goff,
Daniels, Goff. That's why. Okay, we're good. That's why because fucking Goff and Stafford in my head are the same person. I don't know
fair.
why.
They're very similar. Like they're so.
And then
they're both
traded
like
for each other. Like
yeah, exactly.
It fucks my head. Whatever.
All right, now my number 4 spot. You can roast me all you want. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people. My number 4 best quarterback left in the playoffs, Jalen Hurts.
Yep. I'm sorry.
You can roast me. I don't care. I think it's just no. I mean, hey, who is the only remaining quarterback outside of Stafford? Obviously Stafford has won a Super Bowl, but we all know that Stafford is not what he was those couple years ago. We know Stafford's not at that level anymore. But outside of that, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback that has made the Super Bowl. When it comes down to it, Jalen Hurts in the playoffs.
So we're ranking these differently, though. Is like you're talking just like overall career.
Yes, you can talk about seasons all you want. You can talk about probably of the remaining teams. He's probably had the second to worst or third to worst season of the remaining quarterbacks.
It's hard to rank a quarterback based off of their career when you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie, and a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who's been in the league for however many years in the same playoff. You have to look more at the season that they've had, the recent games that they've played. Yeah. I think that plays in more with the rankings of the quarterbacks.
So are you telling me that you'd rather have Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts?
Over Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
I don't think I would have Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts, but that's not what
in the
I'm
position,
saying.
right? Also, so if you were
my fourth spot would most likely be Goff.
Okay, my 5th spot is Goff.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is my 4th spot would be Goff. My 5th spot would probably be Jaden Daniels.
No. No.
Jaden
Daniels has won one playoff game. He's not taking
one playoff game, but yes, he has.
I'm not taking him.
He has the most rushing yards on the offense. They're building the play style of that offense around the quarterback. We're talking about quarterback, not team here. We're not talking about how many playoff wins they have. We're talking about the skill of the quarterback. That's how I would rank it.
Cool. You can say he has more skill. I'm ranking quarterbacks entirely, and I'm taking Jalen Hurts over everyone else.
Fair.
Maybe interchangeable with Goff, but that's the only one. That is the only one right now that I would potentially take over Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has had more experience in the playoffs. I think Jalen Hurts knows how to win football games, and that's what you have to do in the playoffs is you have to win football games. Jaden Daniels has won one playoff game in his career. He is a rookie. I'm not taking a rookie quarterback over a guy that has now been in 4 straight postseasons. I don't care what happened last year. I don't care what happened in 2021 when we know last year the Eagles were all over the place. And we know in 2021 it was the beginning of the new era for the Eagles being Nick Sirianni's first year. But we're talking about a guy who's made the Super Bowl. We're talking about a guy who played lights out in the Super Bowl in 2020 for the 2022 season. I I'm taking Jalen Hurts at my number 4 spot. And then, like I said, I have Jared Goff at my 5. You can interchange them however you want, but I think that is the consensus top 5 in whatever order you want to put it. Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff are the top 5 remaining quarterbacks. I don't care what the media has to say, because I've seen Nick Wright, who put Jalen Hurts as the worst remaining quarterback, and Colin Cowherd put him as the worst remaining quarterback just because he has the best rush attack in the league and doesn't have to throw the ball all the time. He's the worst remaining quarterback, apparently.
On paper, but...
That means nothing.
I agree with you.
Stats mean nothing in the playoffs.
On paper, 100%. I agree with you. On paper, yes. On paper, he is the worst, but he has an offense that has a 2,000 rusher. But exactly. The other side of that is the fact that so do the Ravens. And look at Lamar Jackson. 4,100 yards, 40 touchdowns. And they've got Derrick Henry, who's just outside of the 2,000 rushing yards. I know we're not comparing Jalen Hurts.
I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson.
No, I know you're not saying that. But I'm also saying why is Lamar this great quarterback with a 2,000 rushing running back, and Jalen Hurts isn't anywhere near it.
You're talking about a guy, hey, earlier this season, guess who beat the Ravens? The Eagles. And guess who the quarterback was? Jalen Hurts.
I'm talking about the quarterback.
I'm not saying... Again, Jalen Hurts is going to potentially take the Eagles to the Super Bowl. It just depends if they can get by Detroit.
Okay. Well, what? You said your list. I have.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not even done. I'm not even done yet.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
Your top 5. And top 5, I said Lamar.
So you think... So based off of what you've portrayed to me, is your top 5 is Lamar at 1, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said Jaden Daniels.
I have Jaden Daniels in my 5. Yeah.
This is wrong. I'm not... I understand you watched him slice and dice through their Bucs defense, but no.
Oh, I've watched him most of the year, too. My mom's a Commanders fan. So.
Cool. Congrats.
Right, who's in your 6?
Okay, my 6, and I don't think this is a surprise based off of how I'm ranking. I would still take Matthew Stafford at my 6. I think Matthew Stafford, again, you talk about experience, and obviously, based off what they just did to the only other, the third 14-plus win team in the NFC, I mean, they just destroyed them. Now, does that say that probably Sam Darnold had a better year than what he actually is? Maybe, but we're still talking about the Rams put up 27 on a Vikings defense that has been overall pretty solid this year. So, and like I said, Stafford's been there before. Stafford went on that run a couple years ago. He won obviously, Stafford is not what he was however many years ago now. Was it 3-4 years ago now? Obviously, he's not what he was. But he's still a quarterback that I would take over these next 2 guys.
Your spot right there, 6 being Stafford I agree with that. I have him.
So based off your rankings, you have Jalen Hurts at 7.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, whatever.
We're talking about straight quarterback here.
No.
And the only thing is Stafford and Hurts are kind of interchangeable for me because
I'll put it to you like this.
He is this year without his wide receiver core and Sonic and Knuckle. I don't think it would be.
I'll put it to you like this. Think of what Stafford was when they won the Super Bowl versus now. Jalen Hurts still is that player he was 2 years ago. Matthew Stafford isn't. So if you were just going to come down to probably talent right now and pure talent, athleticism, and ability to win, I that's where I would go to you and say that Jalen Hurts, if we're talking 2 years ago, 3 years ago, like 4 years ago at that point, obviously you're taking Stafford. But Stafford has obviously
what were the other quarterbacks in the
regressed.
divisional round when Stafford won the Super Bowl.
Well, he played in the wild card. He played in the wild card. I don't remember who they played in the division. Oh, was it the Niners? The Niners was in the
I don't even remember.
NFC.
That's why I'm asking.
Dude, it's
like,
been
who the other quarterbacks were when they won.
Thomas Edward Brady. That's who the other one was.
Oh, okay.
That's who they remember. Mr. Walk-off field goal. No, I know. I got you.
Whatever I'm trying to get at here is the fact that when they won the Super Bowl, I don't know if sitting at the divisional round, I would have rated Matthew Stafford being the best quarterback in the whole playoff out of the 8 teams that were left.
I don't even remember.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't remember, but I can sit here and tell you that I don't think I would have ranked him as the number 1 quarterback. I don't think I would have.
Again, okay. I'm not, but okay, whatever. It's fine. And then number 7, this is, I'm not saying talent-wise, I am not saying athleticism, I'm not saying anything else other than this is a rookie quarterback. There are very few times, I honestly could not tell you the last time because even Joe Burrow, when he made the Super Bowl, was not a rookie quarterback. He was second or third year. Jaden Daniels is the 7th best quarterback still left in the playoff.
Okay.
I mean, there's not much else we can agree on this, or there's not much more we can discuss on this right now, because we pretty much
we can both
talked
agree that
about
CJ Stroud's in the 8 slot.
Yeah, and I don't think that's
quarterback. It's just you have to look at the slate that he's lined up against. And
I know.
Kind of
like if we made it, like I said, if we made a tier list, CJ Stroud would probably be in like a B or B plus tier.
Yeah. Like, not a bad quarterback. He's just lined up against some of the greatest.
Again, though, I think CJ, but also I think it does add to the fact that CJ Stroud has not looked his best this year. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. So yeah. It's unfortunate that Stroud has kind of taken a step back, but he's still good though. He's still very good quarterback.
Still good.
So yeah. So I'll go through one more time. I got Mahomes in my 1, Lamar in my 2, Josh Allen in my 3, Jalen Hurts in my 4, Goff in my 5, Stafford in my 6, Jaden Daniels in my 7, and Stroud in the 8.
There it is.
Yep, that's my list, and then I guess if you want to try to...
I remember I was Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels. What did I say? I said kind of Stafford and Jalen Hurts were interchangeable on the 6 and the 7. So we'll say Matthew Stafford was in the 6, Hurts was in the 7, and CJ Stroud was in the 8. 6 and 7 I think are kind of interchangeable, but
that's fair. I mean, there's not much. Like I said, we've discussed this at this point, but it is what it is. So if you find my take absolutely insane, let me know. But I will stand on that hill. I don't care if it's biased. I'm just solely looking off a guy who has been through the playoffs before versus
it's a fair point.
Some rookie quarterback. And like I said before, and like I also said, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is like, oh, he's this miles ahead guy of Jared Goff. I'm thinking these are two very similar. These guys are in very similar situations. Yeah. They're in two high-powered offenses. One that obviously has a better run game, being the Eagles. But these are two guys that they kind of they manage the game for them. Obviously, Goff has higher stats, but you also got to remember that Jalen Hurts also has a lot more rushing stats than Jared Goff does, even if Jalen Hurts doesn't fill up the passing yards. All right. So that's the rankings of that. We could do this really quick. We don't have to go too much detail. But I had this written down. There is the biggest game in college football season coming up. We said last time that we were not certain if we were going to make a full episode on it because it was one game. There's one game left. It's the national championship.
Yeah.
But we'll give you predictions for this. We'll do really quick. We'll try to keep it within like a 3 to 5 minute range. we're talking about Ohio State. We're talking about Notre Dame. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. So Notre Dame won in absolute crazy fashion. I was at that game. If you guys saw on TikTok, I was at that game. They heartbreaking loss for Penn State. Absolute heartbreaking. This is a team that just consistently proves the media, proves everyone that they can just win. They can win. It doesn't matter who's on their team. It doesn't matter how many 5 stars, 4 stars. It doesn't matter. They can just go out and win a football game if they have to. But then you look at the other side. You're looking at Ohio State, who is this crazy $20 million roster. It's playing like a $20 million roster, led by Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, and on defense, Jack Sawyer and Caleb Downs. Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on this game, but if I really had to think about it, as far as Notre Dame has come, I really don't think they're gonna stop Ohio State.
I want to disagree with you.
Ooh.
And my only thing is this playoff has surprised everybody. And I think just about every aspect. You could sit here and say, oh, I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be surprised, just like we have for every single other game in the playoffs. The majority of this season, this year's different. We're not used to it. We're not used to this playoff. I don't know what's going to happen. I know who I'm rooting for, and that is Notre Dame.
Oh, dude, you don't have to tell me that.
No, I know. Simply because of the simple reason that whatever team ends up beating my team, of course I'm probably going to root for them to win it.
Oh, yeah, you want to end up losing the national champ. And I'm the same way.
Yeah, and you lost to the same team that we did. You're the same way. I also don't... Now, it's becoming a different standard because of the whole NIL stuff, but the coaching staff and, going out and OSU reaching for all these pro coaches and swiping the credit card to win a natty just doesn't sit right with me, and it's just not... It's not college ball to me. So I know which team I want to go with, and it's Notre Dame. And I think I'm gonna just say I think they're gonna win it.
I mean, you bring up they bring out the credit card and they buy their team. I don't disagree with you. I don't like it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work.
No, it works, and that's the problem. Is it brings the people who aren't a fan of the team. Obviously, if you're an Ohio State fan, you sit there and say, "Oh, everybody's doing it." Because there's a lot of teams that are doing it, but nowhere near on the level that they are, and it's whatever. It's honestly whatever.
I mean, you picked... I would absolutely love for Ohio State to lose this game and for Notre Dame to end up prevailing. Marcus Freeman gets
and Marcus
win
Freeman,
over...
I would love to see him win a...
He's a fantastic head coach. There is no way around that. He's an unreal head coach. But I just think there's way too much star power, and with the way that Ohio State has been playing throughout this playoff, I think they are a team that is destined to win this. There's just nothing that's going to end up stopping them, in my opinion. So obviously, we don't want to go too much further into this because this is not necessarily what this episode is about. But
just a quick touch, yeah.
We went on quick touch. We'll give our true real prediction. I think, like I said, I don't think there's a way to stop Ohio State in the end. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm pretty sure the spread was like -8 for Ohio State. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think this could be kind of like what the Ohio State-Texas game was, where these are just two, they just grind it out. Or it could even be Penn State versus Notre Dame, where this comes down to a game-winning field goal. But I think if I had to make a prediction, I would say probably 27 for Ohio State, and I think probably 20 for Notre Dame. I think it's a one-score game. I think Ohio State, unfortunately, is the national champion.
Biased answer only. 35-3. Kidding. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. I think we're gonna see like a good little 28 to 21. 28 to 21. Notre Dame.
And obviously, you said Notre Dame.
I really have
Notre Dame,
no real like in depth. This is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. I just want Notre Dame to win it.
Yeah, I think if Notre Dame wins, I think that means their secondary ended up clamping up Jeremiah Smith, and I think
They
they're
didn't have their greatest game.
That is true, but when he's getting clamped up, that means that Buka goes off. That means Carnell Tate goes off, and then you have that two-headed monster in the backfield with Travion and Quinshon Judkins. It's tough. It's tough to stop this team, and
it's gonna be tough.
Obviously it's gonna be a great game.
Besides the fact that it's at 8 p.m. on a Monday night.
Yeah.
Like always,
we gotta fix that in the future. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I think if Notre Dame wins, it'll be through their defense. I think it'll be low scoring. But if Ohio State wins, it could still be low scoring because they also have a great defense. But Notre Dame just has to stop that offense if they want to win at all. All right. So that is today's episode. Let us know what you guys think of the divisional game and also the national championship.
I gotta mention one thing because I don't know if you're gonna do it or not. I'm gonna do it. I plugged the social media last week. I'm gonna plug it again, but please, if we have any audience from TikTok that is on the YouTube right now, we posted to TikTok about it. We don't know the future of that app. That is by far our biggest following right now. Please go drop a follow on. I mean, if you're watching this here, please just subscribe or anything. Go check out our Instagram. I think we'll probably end up switching over to Reels for the majority of what we post. Maybe.
Oh, and shorts for sure. YouTube shorts for sure.
But yeah, no, our biggest following is on TikTok, and I mean, there's no certain future with that right now. But just in case, it is the end of that app. I'd love for some of the following to hit our other socials.
Oh yeah, 100%. Hopefully, when I'm not. This is nothing to do with politics. Hopefully, when Trump gets into office, it gets delayed and we can still make videos on TikTok. But obviously, as of right now, it will.
Timeline, yeah.
If as of right now, TikTok will be shut down on January 19th. So again, if you watch our TikToks and you're not following the Instagram, make sure to follow the Instagram. If you love the TikToks and you're not following us here on YouTube, make sure to follow us on YouTube. We are still very much going to keep posting whether or not TikTok is a thing. It could be harder to grow this channel, but with your guys' support, hopefully we can continue this and we can still keep it going. Again, like I said, thanks for watching. Again, give us your divisional predictions, give us what you think about our quarterback rankings, what you think about the national championship. And if you have nothing else to add, Cameron, I'd say that's all.
That's it from me, to be honest with you.
All right. Again, make sure to enjoy your football, guys. This is one of the final weeks. It's almost over. It's over for college this weekend.
Unless you watch UFL.
We'll end it on that.
Sign off on that. All right,
See you guys.